Tris,
Joe, how are you doing, mate?
how are you, mate? How was your little trip to Wales? Sorry, we couldn't come out to see you last time, mate. You
Yeah,
good?
no, it was good, mate. It was good. I was only up there for a bit of food and then straight back down. But yeah, things are good, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. A bit tired running around here after little Enzo, mate. He's got a bit of a cold a minute, but little baby's doing well, thanks, mate. And I had Connor and Joe up here earlier, so it was nice to see them as well. So yeah, it's lovely, being a dad and little family thing, innit? You know what I mean?
So is Connor back now, or is he just back for a trip?
He's back.
Wow, mate, you must be delighted.
Yeah, I'm happy he's back. He's sort of, I'll be honest with you, he's quite suddenly come back. I'm gonna come back. He's 1 minute he's living out there and he's coming back, which I'm happy. I mean, at the end of the day, having this, as you know, maybe a dad, having your kid the other side of the world. I missed him and that, and I'm glad he's back now. He's back and he's wants to do a bit of work here and personal training and so on, and it's great. So it's great to get us all back in the same place.
Mate, lovely. So I know I've got to pick your brains a bit about the Ben Eubank stuff. So that first fight, were you watching it? Were you invested in it on the night?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I wasn't. I know. It's like their fathers are legends, right? So I got what they were fighting, but I honestly thought it was just the difference in size. I wasn't that excited to watch the fight. I was actually working that night, and I stayed to watch the fight. And I watched the first round. Oh, okay, this is going to be interesting. And I was more than pleasantly surprised that it turned out to be a great fight. I just thought that the size difference would be a bigger difference, but I think Connor shot, wobbled Ben a little bit in early rounds. I'm not sure what round it was. I thought, this is
We're on to something.
shock, mate. But yeah, it was a really good fight, and they deserve a rematch, a big money rematch. And like I said, it was even the theater. It was great to see senior turn up on the night, and see them all together in the ring, and after 12 rounds beating themselves each other, giving each other a hug. That's always a beautiful thing with boxing, right? That's what happens. So yeah, they both done their dads proud that night, and they deserve a rematch. Whether the rematch is going to be as explosive as the first one, I'd be surprised, but hopefully it's a good fight.
Well, obviously, I mean, I can't, off the top of my head, I was trying to think of your rematches. Who was it? Mario V? Was there anyone else?
No, just Mario Vite, and yeah, that one was I knocked him out the first fight, but that was only a rematch because he went on a 12-fight winning streak and become number one again. And I went to Germany this time, I obliged in 5 rounds.
Yeah, and
That's
chinned him again. Yeah.
that's the only rematch. Yeah, I think I had the rematch clause with Lacey, but as you can imagine, after the first fight, that was never needed.
No, sure. Hey, so that first Ben Eubank fight, by the way, were you watching it as like a fan and trying to break it down, or were you watching it as a dad, given the eras and your relationship with Chris and Nigel? Were you kind of thinking about from their perspective a little bit?
Um, That's a good question. I was hoping just for a good fight. Like I said, I was working that night. I was hoping for a good fight. I'd be honest with you, their fathers being who they are. That was why the fight was made. And I see that they had the needle with each other. I didn't really look too much into it, but after the first couple of rounds, I realized that these guys are quite evenly matched here, and it's going to be a great fight. And as a boxing fan, I stayed around watched the 12 rounds, which was pleasantly surprised what a great fight it was.
Did it make you sort of pleased or a little bit? I don't want to use the word disappointed, but use it as you see fit. But did it make you pleased that your boys weren't fighting like that to be involved in that sort of war? Are you pleased that they're not doing it? Because I know they've both, toyed with it and showed glimpses of potential and possibly could have gone down that avenue. When you see those sort of fights, you think, no, I'm glad they're certainly home now and stuff.
Yeah, that's a tricky one to answer there, Tris. I think, for the reason of, certain reasons, yeah, I never want to push my boys into it, although they run the boxing gym and I'm at the fights. I think as long as you come through the fight and you're unscathed, even though, both fighters had to go to hospital, right? So that's the other side of boxing. You could get seriously hurt, you never, I never wanted to push my sons into boxing, and that's the way it was. They didn't need to do it, and if they wanted to do it, I would have supported them. I think, watching that fight with Eubank Benn, listen, they both got hurt. That's a sport.
Mm.
But they made a load of money from it, got a lot of mutual respect from it. And let's hope that, in the next fight, is a good fight, and they both come through okay.
Hey, changing tacks a bit. I know we swapped some messages, but how hard did you take Ricky's loss, by the way? I know that you guys boxed on a few bills together and you would have been at countless events with him over the years. Obviously, I think me, you and him, I think we went out on the WBC convention in Vegas, didn't we? But I mean, like, I know I took it hard and what was it like for you?
Yeah, it was, yeah, it was hard, man. I think, and shock. I
Mm,
think we did the Legends tour together, and with myself, Nigel, and Nigel Benn, and Frank Bruno, and we spent a lot of time together over that month, and he was just beautiful to be around. I mean, like, always funny, as you know, Tris, always joking, even when he wasn't doing. He was a brilliant speaker. He's a comedian, right?
yeah.
As well of his boxing career with his jokes and but off just naturally funny. I know we talk with naturally funny, but when we spoke, we did talk about mental health and made a point of mentioning about the troubles that happens with retirement, and it hit home with Nigel because I know we had issues with it, and Frank and myself, because it's just people only see you in a light, so when you're speaking but behind closed doors, it's tough, and we all struggled, and yeah, going back to it, I was really upset, you know what I mean? And still talking about him, like, still quite emotional,
Mm.
because he was just it's just so sad, man. And yeah, he just was upsetting, mate.
We've got to do something about this void, right? This void that fighters fall into in retirement, like where they can't chase the buzz. I was speaking to Josh Taylor about this the other day, and he's going through it. Like there's something there that we've got to start. And I don't know if it's filling the time, but certainly bracing the guys for it. Just say, look, when you come to the end, it's not going to feel great.
Yeah, I think there's nothing really in place for boxers. I think in other sports you have a lot of things, like, and this is not just talking about world champions. There's fighters that haven't really won titles, but still have to suffer afterwards with, regarding what do you do when you're retired. There's no, like, structure in place. It would be good if possibly promoters, people from the higher end, the British Boxing Board would do a bit more regarding support for fighters after they retire. And it's another one to answer, because how are we going to do that? And it is tough. It is tough, mate. It's a tough one, but it's just sad that what do you do afterwards? And me personally, when I retired from boxing, I retired on my own terms. I didn't have to suffer devastating losses. Which bless him, I know affected Ricky. And even though the beautiful, amazing stuff he did, and the millions of people supported him, thousands of people that come to America to watch him. He's one of the most loved fighters. People champion. People use that, but he was. And yeah, it's tough, mate. It's tough.
What could have helped you? Like, if there was like an information pack for you, like with stuff about, and there was sort of stuff about counseling, there was stuff about medical stuff, there was stuff about still training and nutrition. Would you have read all that? Would you have gone into that? Like, what would you have needed to have helped you to, I suppose, understand the sense of loss from not being a pro fighter anymore?
That's a tough one to answer, because I'll be honest with you, if I was given something, would they have took notice? I think fighting at the top of your sport for all them years and having that what's the word, train every day, when you
The
train,
structure, the routine. Yeah, yeah.
the routine, yeah, the routine, and then what happened to me personally, like, the more big fights I fight twice a year, so I used to manage it. Okay, where I used to live in the gym early in my career, at the end of my career, when you get bigger fights, the bigger money, you could afford to go on better holidays. I'd have that big gap, So I would probably, with me, I would be partying a little bit, maybe, in between fights, and then, then parties become a bit more longer, then I'd have that training camp where I'd be training. And but then when it's finished, you haven't got that training camp anymore, right?
Mm.
So it's like, plus you haven't got that euphoria, the fights. You ain't got that buzz and that sacrifice where you lose all that weight, and then it's just a big, it's a big gap there. I struggled for many years. I understand why Ricky struggled. I mean, and other fighters. It's tough, but I think eventually the idea is, I think personally, is to get help, man. Whether it's going to a program or our professional help.
Talking to people, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely having professional help because it's not sustainable. What happened with me with dad and my mum and this and that, and then thank God I managed to you know stop drinking. That was a massive thing, and that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing. Addictions, where we are trying to blank things out and
Yeah.
trying to fill a void, which is a massive void.
And let me ask you a couple of boxing ones while I've got you. Obviously, Terence Crawford beat Canelo recently, and that's his only fight at 168. Does that make him a 168-pound great?
Did what he did was great, but I think a lot of it is down to I think Canelo, man. I don't know. I think you can't really put like a peak Roy Jones in with people making a point of would he have beat Roy Jones? Come on, man. It's like no. I think he done great going that way. He's a great fighter, Prince Crawford, but I don't know. On one fight against the Canelo, I didn't think really turned up that night. I just I know you can make a point, I suppose, because you just beat Canelo, but I just don't think Canelo's the fighter he was, is he? Judging on that.
Were you
Performance.
impressed with Crawford, or you seem more disappointed with Canelo than you were impressed with Crawford?
Oh, I was impressed. Yeah, I was impressed with Crawford. I thought he done great. He's a great boxer. I think he right for the right fight, but also it was a combination of Canelo. I didn't think, didn't really throw any punches. He's flat-footed. He's quite flat-footed, but yeah, he done well. Putting the best pound for pounds. I mean, suit middleweights ever. I'm not sure about that. I think I've
What
got to
does
be
it
more.
mean for Canelo's legacy? Obviously, I know you can say he did get the decision, obviously in the Golovkin fight, or and the controversies there. But with Canelo now, he's lost to Crawford, he's lost to Bivol, and he's lost to Floyd. You could say he's lost to the all of the best fighters he's fought, bar Golovkin possibly. Do you think that's damning for his legacy, or do you think his legacy is pretty assured given his volume of big fights?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I think even though, when you look at it, I mean, I think Galvin Priv is an all-time great, to be honest, because he had, like you just said, he's lost his biggest fights, but he's still a great fighter. The among the fights he's had, among the wins he's had, he's had some great wins, but he's against the top fighters he's lost, isn't he? Going from Mayweather, I thought he lost the one Golovkin, definitely lost one of the Golovkin fights, but yeah, listen, man. He's had a great career, man. You can't. I know everybody. You keep fighting, you're gonna lose. Father Time catches up with everybody. Like at all he is now. I just hope he doesn't go on too long and get beaten by mediocre fighters.
Hey, just one more, Joe. What was the last fight of yours that you watched, and when did you watch it?
The last fight of mine. Do you
Yeah.
know what? Actually, a good question. I don't watch any of my fights for ages, but I always see reels come up, and they always either the Roy Jones when they're doing this. So makes me giggle. It pisses Roy off. I do a Roy Jones to a Roy Jones. Or
Do you ever tag him into it? Do you ever mess
no
it?
way. I love Roy. No, he's gonna be like, come on, man. No, he'd be like, lucky you didn't see me 10 years earlier, mate. There'd be trouble. I was like, come on, Roy. I love you, man. But yeah, bits pop up. I haven't actually sat down and watched the fight, but if I was to watch, well, it probably would Jeff Lacey fight. I think. I know that one. Or I like the Roy Jones, but after the first round.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. What's
like
your
stuff.
All right, Joe. Look, thanks for making the time, mate. Hopefully, we'll get to see each other soon.
Thanks, Tris.
Cheers, Joe.
See you soon.
Bye,
Bye.
mate. Bye bye.
Thanks, Tris. Take care,
Cheers,
mate.
Dan.